What's up, guys? We had some audio issues today, so we're just gonna do a voiceover. Today, we're going over board slides. We're gonna start by going over our body mechanics and how to position your feet on the board, and then we're gonna go over some tricks to help with the mental game of getting in and out of a board slide. First, we're going to go over our body mechanics and body placement on the board, along with our foot positioning on the board. As for our foot positioning, we want to make sure we have our back foot all the way up to the edge of the tail, like you're going to go for an ollie. And on our front foot, I like to have just over the front truck to make sure we are still close to centered on the board, while being just a little in the back seat to prepare to ollie on and off the rail. So you want to make sure that you're using a nice athletic stance. So you want to make sure that you have your knees bent just over your toes, and then have your hips and shoulders and head all in line so you're not hunched over. Here we want to make sure that we keep our body centered over the board. We don't want to be too far in the front seat or in the back seat. This is going to keep you nice and balanced. And then with our arms, we want to go back to the basics a bit, keep our arms out. Again, we're going for balance. This is going to help you preload your spin into the board slide and bring your hips around as they follow your shoulders, and same with getting out of the board slide. As you swing your shoulders and your arms, your hips are going to follow. Now, if you keep your athletic stance with your knees bent, this is going to keep you from slipping out on your heels as you come onto the boxer rail. And then we also want to make sure we're not hunching over at the waist, because this is going to mess with our center of gravity and make it a lot harder to stay balanced. So just make sure you use this athletic stance with your knees bent and arms out. It's really going to help you out. We like to have our toes just on the edge of the board, with the ball of your foot just off center and the heel close to your heel edge. This is going to allow us to still have toe and heel control while still being able to pop off the ball of our foot. And we want to make sure our knees are staying in line with our toes to have that balanced athletic stance. So just make sure you have those toes lined up with your knees. That's going to help out a lot. Now, here's another angle for you guys. You can see we're just lining up our toes with the edge of the board there, and that's going to give us a nice amount of balance to stay on the board slide and not slip out either on our toes or on our heels. Now we're going to go ahead and go over that trick I was talking about earlier for helping with the mental battle of getting on and off of a box. So we're just going to go ahead and imagine that there is a straight line in front of us on the snow, and then we're going to ride up to that line and pretend that we're getting on and off of a rail. This is going to warm up our body to get used to the motion of it. So we're just going to hike up real quick and show you guys how we do that. This might seem like a silly idea to pretend that you're getting on and off of a box or a rail, but it really helps you get used to the motion of swinging your arms and shoulders and bringing those hips around 90 degrees into your board slide and then popping back out of it. Now, as you approach a rail, you want to make sure you have your arms out and looking straight ahead where you want to do your board slide. And then as you approach the rail, you're going to go ahead and swing your arms and shoulders and start bringing those hips around. And you should just lock right in. You're going to keep your eyes and head pointed straight down at where you want to go. Just make sure you keep looking where you want to go as you bring your shoulders back around and bring those hips around to follow. While it may seem silly, I really find it helps out to take a video of yourself while you're practicing these and trying them for the first time. it's really going to help you look and see what you're doing wrong and correct your body mechanics to make sure that you're doing everything you can to land your tricks. Now, there's really two ways to do a board slide on Snowskate. You can either kind of just do a slide into your board slide if it's a ride-on feature with a smooth lip that goes right up to the feature, or if there is some kind of gap or ledge between the lip and the feature, you're going to want to go ahead and do a proper Ollie-on. So we're going to go over how to do both of those for you guys and how to work up from doing a slide-on board slide and popping into a proper board slide. Both of these are going to be relatively the same motion. The main difference is when you pop into your board slide, you're just going to have your back foot a little farther back and just add a little bit of pop as you rotate versus just rotating while staying on the snow. To demonstrate this, we're going to go ahead and put our board out in front of us and pretend that this is the rail that we're going to hit. So if you're going to do a ride-on rail and slide into your board slide, you're just going to come at it straight and centered, lined up perfectly with the rail, and just rotate 90 degrees and slide right onto it. Now, if we're doing a pop-on into the board slide, we're going to go ahead and approach just off-center. You don't want to come in at a really harsh angle. Now, once you're popped into your board slide, you want to make sure you just try to keep that athletic stance. Make sure you keep your feet centered over the rail as much as possible. We're going to go ahead and head up to a box. Remember that we're going for progression today, so you can start out small and work your way up. So if you need to, you can ride straight off the box still in a board slide and then land and come back around. And then once you're used to that, work up to popping off the box back to regular. And then eventually work up to ollieing on and off of the box. So we're gonna go ahead and start small and work our way up for you guys. Here you can see we're going to go ahead and slide right into that board slide. Keep our athletic stance with our head looking right at our landing. And then for your first time, feel free to just slide right off the box and stay in that board slide position and then rotate as you ride away. So knees bent, arms out, and then just slide right into that board slide and rotate back out of it. Then we can go ahead and practice bringing it back around to ride off. Again, we're just keeping our athletic stance with the knees bent and the arms out. We're going to go ahead and preload those arms and shoulders. And as we come onto the box, our hips and legs are going to go ahead and swing around, following our shoulders, locking us into that board slide. And then to pop out of it, you're just going to do the opposite. Go ahead and swing those arms back the other direction and have your hips swing around after them. So now that we're used to rotating both on and off the box, we're going to practice ollieing onto it to prepare for a tube or a rail. For this one, we're just going to move that back foot back towards the edge of the tail a little bit more, and we're just going to add a little light pop into the board slide while you do the same motion with your shoulders and hips. Now, it's a little bit easier to ollie onto a box, tube, or rail with a little bit of speed. So we're just going to go a little fast this time and then pop right into it. Once you're comfortable with this, you can go ahead and move on to the tube or rail whenever you're ready. But once again, practice is going to make perfect, so just practice doing that pop on, pop off with the box. It's going to make it a lot easier when you work your way up to the tube and to the rail. Alright, so the main difference between doing a board slide on a box or a tube is that you're going to have to balance your board to stay centered instead of just being on a flat box. Now, as long as you keep that athletic stance that we talked about earlier with your knees bent over your toes, everything aligned, this is going to be relatively easy. Just make sure when you come on to the tube, you're coming on straight and not at too much of an angle. Otherwise, you won't stay centered. Now, if you're having a hard time getting up onto the tube or rail itself and not even getting your board halfway over, try looking at it and thinking about actually alling all the way over it, which will help you get centered if you're not able to in the first place. Alright, so this is going to be pretty similar to the box, so make sure you have your feet set up for a bit of an ollie. Make sure your knees are bent, arms out. Then you're going to approach just to the side of the tube this time and ollie over and onto it. Ooh. So remember, with the Ollie-on, we're going to go a little bit faster. Just pop and rotate at the same time. Well, that's it for today, guys. I hope I was able to help some of you guys out with getting into your board slides, both on boxes and tubes. We were going to try to hit a rail today, but we couldn't find anything around the park that was good for it. But hope you guys were able to find this useful. And if there's a trick that you guys want to see me do and go over for another trick tip video, go ahead and leave a comment down below and let me know. I'll try to get on that as soon as I can. And yeah, just if you like the videos, go ahead and like and subscribe. It really helps out, so I appreciate it. I just like to have fun with this stuff and would love to get more people out having a good time on snow skates. So hopefully this is helping some of you out, and have a good one.